Hello there, Tom Hartman, Sacred Prophet. How are ye? How are ye?
Welcome, boys and girls, to Revelations on this Monday 23rd, 2026. We're here to talk about trading. Yeah, bye.
Okay.
I felt we needed a little bit more spice and a little more cumin
More
inside
color?
of our episodes.
I
Hit
don't
it
know.
off with a bang.
I don't know if anybody's asking for that.
Well, that's pretty much the only shitty accent I can do, so we'll just leave it at that.
Wait, can't you do a British accent?
I could maybe do a Gandalf accent.
Well, what about Australian? Nor,
Oh God, no.
nor,
No.
nor.
No.
That's the only thing I know
When
how
I
to do.
watch reality TV shows and it's so I like traders, right?
Mm.
So I can watch American and British traders. The British one's I'm gonna have a hard time understanding.
Mm.
Well, accents difficult. Watching New Zealand and Australian traders, I was like, are they joking? Why are they rocks in their mouth in order to talk? Unwatchable. I think I'm gonna try to watch Ireland. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it through.
Isn't Irish traders?
Yeah, there's a new one season just came out.
I haven't been watching it, but it's my favorite show. It's so intense, my heart can't actually take it. Although I started watching Alone, and I don't know if I'm just remembering it wrong, but Alone has changed. It's way less fun to watch the later seasons because they're always showing you bad. It's always something bad's about to happen.
I see.
So it's like if I'm watching someone, the likelihood is that something bad is about to happen to them. And I don't like that. Like it used to be like I didn't know what was going on, but now it's just like they're never showing, and then it worked out great, generally speaking. Anyway.
Well, welcome everyone to Prime Video Cast, where we go over all the shows on Prime, Hulu, Crave, and Netflix for your viewing pleasure. Today we'll be reviewing Love Island. All right, let's do this well. Welcome to Revelations for Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I'm your illustrious trading guide, Tom Sacred Prophet Hartman, and serving at my pleasure is my first acolyte and hand of the king, Peter Bad Guru Hartman. On Revelations, we go over the trade setups for the past day and the day ahead, all to teach you, the congregation, how to use divine indicators to trade for profit and purpose. Today, we'll be taking a look at MNQ from the lens of a prop firm trader. So like, follow, and listen, because the next few minutes might just change your life. Peter.
Yes.
I got my mojo back a little bit today. My mojo back.
How'd your short go?
Well, I didn't get the full short today. Like I knew coming into from last Friday, I was feeling very dejected. I know that you go, Tom, don't feel so bad. I go, okay. But I knew I wasn't in the state where I should be taking a bunch of trades. So I did take an initial trade at 6 p.m. Now, that trade did succeed. The 6 p.m. trade on NASDAQ, which we'll take a look in a second what that looks like. But I didn't hold it all the way because still in my fervor from last Friday, I really didn't want to look at the charts. So I just said it and sort of forgot about it. But there's actually a bunch of trades I could have taken in the overnight and this morning at 9:30 a.m. But again, I wasn't in the right headspace for it and I had work to do. But then afterwards, there was a couple of trades. Hey, they were setting up. They were near perfect trades. And I was like, okay, these trades I'm going to take, and it worked out well. So let me just go through what the trade setups were for today, let you know the trades that I did take, and then we'll talk about the trade setups for tomorrow. But also, this is all on the heels of what we talked about yesterday on Sunday Fuel, that we are in the eye of the storm. That means that we're in a tornado, but there's a little period of quietness, but it doesn't mean that there's not rumblings on the side. So we're going to get some volatility as things start to shift. All right. Did you take any trades today? No, you didn't take any trades today.
I tried to scalp a little bit. I got $5 on one account, lost $10 on another account. I just wasn't confident enough to hold it. Like it would have worked out. I wasn't confident enough, so I just got in, got out. That was it.
Totally understood.
I
I
got
should
in on
start
one
off.
account, and then the candle turns green and started shooting up. It was wild. So I was like, I'm done. I lost $10 there. I'm like, I'm done.
So I should mention here, you didn't remind me of this, Peter, that
Mhm.
we talk about things a lot. I'm always in my head about it, and I don't always know what trades I've told people that I'm in. So just to be clear, in addition to prop firms, I also trade crypto futures because you can get massive amount of leverage there, and with perfect trades, perfect setups, there's no real reason not to trade this sort of thing. It costs you so little, you can make so much on your move. So I've actually been in a short. I did several shorts for Bitcoin, but I'm in a short right now that I started on February 16th. So if we take a look at the February
Wait,
16th candle for,
what are you
yes, go
using
ahead.
to trade crypto futures? Is it BitGet?
So I use BitGet as my crypto exchange, my preferred crypto exchange. There's tons of other exchanges you can use. Just make sure that if you're using a different exchange, that on TradingView or whatever charting software that you're using the Bitcoin perpetual futures contract from that exchange because your numbers might be different. The reason I
Well,
like, anyways,
the
go
reason I
ahead.
want to bring that up is because if you folks uh, if you want to try out sacred profit indicators, and if in fact if you want to get the whole shebang, if you sign up as a believer for $0 and you put $500 in your BitGet account, which is one of our partners, then you can actually get the whole package here for $0, right? You have to maintain an active account. And the reason we can do this is because there's a commission, some type of commission that we get from BitGet when you trade. So the money's not coming from you, but if you're going to be trading anyway, you're going to be using an account, then there's no downside for you. You get access to all the indicators, strategies, utilities that Secret Profit has available to it, and you can be a part of the club. So BitGet is one of our partners. The other one is
Blowfin.
Blowfin, and there will be more to come. Watch this space. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. Like when you were talking about it today, you're like, "Hey, maybe should you trade crypto futures?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well," you were like, "Well, how is that different than prop firms?" And my head just sort of exploded. It's like they're very, very different. Even though we're
Mhm.
trading, one, we're trading two different assets, and two, you don't have any of the same rules that to follow for prop firms, right?
Right.
You're not paying for an initial account that you can blow in the sense of the cost of the account. You're not trying to keep your drawdown in a certain amount, not more than a certain amount, or your account will be closed. There's no evaluation phases. There's no funded phases. You just put the money in and you're ready to trade. You can trade $5 if you want to. Um, you can also get massive amount of leverage. When I trade Bitcoin, I trade all the way up to 50x leverage. And on crypto futures, I could hold that position. I'll often hold a position for days, weeks, sometimes even months. I just paid the funding fee for the trade. And so I've been in a trade since February 16th that I'm planning on holding until the charts show me differently, or we get to $55,000 on Bitcoin.
And as a reminder, the a lot of the indicators in the Sacred Profit library are optimized for 50x leverage. Is that right?
All of them are. So it's because I was able to optimize them for 50x leverage, and that has its own inherent danger because you can liquidate a position pretty easily if you're not careful. What mattered to me was having perfect entries,
Right.
right? Because on a 50x leverage position, I could only suffer a 2% move in Bitcoin against me before that position is liquidated. So no matter how right I was, doesn't matter how much risk I'm willing to take, I can only suffer a 2% pullback before my position was liquidated. And so I optimize these indicators to have perfect entries. And it just so happened that that works also very well for prop firms.
Right. Very
I did not
interesting.
know that because I optimize those for perfect entries on daily, weekly time frames. And it turns out in the fractal system, it also works all the way down to the freaking, I've seen it on the 5 second mark. So it's amazing. All right. So I've been in a trade since February 16th. Why? A short? Because actually for a number of different reasons. But when the week started off, give me 1 second. I got something boiling over on the stove, Peter.
Yeah, no worries. Folks, here at Sacred Profit, we want to be educational, but we also want to be entertaining. So if you're looking at some of the content and you're wondering, hey, why is there like a cartoon on this page and stuff like that? Why are the thumbnails looking the way they are? We experiment with different fun things. And if you've watched the show for any amount of time, especially Sunday Fuel, you know how unhinged we can be. So like and subscribe to this channel because not only will you get great educational content, but you're also going to get some fun trading entertainment. Watch this space. Tom, are you okay now?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So on Bitcoin, after we had that big drop, I had shorted on this drop as well. You'll notice that this fall that we hit a bunch of weekly levels. Weekly levels here, here, and here. These are all great places in order to take profits or wait for a bounce in order to short some more. But after we had this big drop, what normally happens whenever you have a big drop in anything is that you have a period of consolidation. And so I like waiting to see what that first. There's a pattern. I called it this years ago when I first started trading. I don't know what it's actually called. I call it a 3 hump camel. Things happen in threes in markets, and there's usually going to be some sort of retracement of the move that happens at least 2 times, and the third time is when it actually confirms to the downside or breaks out. You probably know this as a flag. This is a flag pattern. This is a bear flag pattern. Um, and usually it's 3 moves that happen inside of it, 3 rhythms within it. So I usually like enter in on that trade on the second rhythm. If I'm going to take a short, if I'm expecting my bias is towards the downside, and you guys know my bias is towards the downside of Bitcoin, I'm expecting something like $55,000 on Bitcoin. I'm eager to get into a short. Now, the ideal short here would have been here at the weekly level that was created. So this is a weekly level that was created on February 8th and 9th. Right here. This is the weekly level. And you guys saw how the price came and visited this level a couple of times. So this I missed. Should have paid attention to, I missed, but I don't really, I wasn't sure. Like this could always decide to go up further. But once this rejected, and then the second week started, so this is the first week, and the next week started, and we were still lower. After I saw this move where it came up to the daily level and rejected, right here, came up to the daily level and rejected, I said, okay, I'm ready to get into this trade. So why did I consider this level? Because this daily level is very far from this daily level, which is the nearest level above us. So when this price came up over here and I watched this candle, and when it came back down under that candle, exactly here is when I took the short. When it came back down and it's like, okay, this candle's about to close on the 2 hour, which is my trend time frame. I was like, I feel comfortable getting into a short over here. If I'm whipped out, I'm whipped out, but I'm not expecting a 2% move up. And then since then, I've been holding the shorts from here to here, and currently up something like, I don't know, 334% on this trade.
Nice.
Because when I'm trading at 50x leverage, this trade is from over here down to over here. So we're dealing with like a 7% move. 7% move gives you 350% at 50x leverage. This is why I like 50x leverage trades on Bitcoin, and which is why perfect entries are so important.
You've been holding out on me. Yeah, tricky. We're here dealing with
No, I've
prop
been
firm
mentioning this
accounts.
already.
You're
I just
here
haven't.
making the big money. I'm up and down on
No.
my prop firm accounts. I'm blowing them, buying new ones. Here, Tom's sitting on a golden goose. And Tom's like, hey, why don't you trade crypto futures in a BitGet account? I was like, I thought we had moved on from that. So Sacred Profit has not moved on from trading crypto in futures accounts, even though we talk a lot about prop firm trading MNQ.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
I will surf the trends wherever they're found. That's my British accent. You were
Hey,
looking
that's
for a
pretty
British
good.
accent?
That sounded like Gandalf
That's
there
pretty
for a
fun.
second. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. You'll remember last night I talked about the open for Bitcoin. Remember, we used the open for Bitcoin as a proxy for what would happen
Right.
in equities. So Bitcoin did this round trip over the weekend. So did this thing on Saturday where the price came down to this daily level on Saturday. I call them sideways Saturdays. Sideways Saturdays is a weird type of trade where the price doesn't go very far from the daily level for Saturday. And if you have enough of a room, you can actually just go ahead and take that short. So the price came up where? To the weekly level that was created before, and then it came all the way back down to this daily level. I don't know if this is as clear to everyone else when I'm writing on the chart. To me, it looks clear as day. That over here, if we zoom in to this is Saturday, the price opened on Saturday. On Saturday, it opened up, and a daily level was created right over here, that blue line. Okay? The price drifted up. Where did it drift up to? It drifted up to like the weakest, like nearest level, which was this mitigated level, this weekly level that we talked about at the beginning of this week. So if you look at that and you're noticing, you look at the candlestick patterns, at any point where you feel comfortable, you can just go ahead and take that short all the way down to the daily level. This happens again and again and again. The reason I don't really harp on it for Saturdays is that often the price might stay very close to the level. It might not go very far. Saturdays don't have a huge move normally. So here, this is a trade. But why am I mentioning this? Because this is the Friday. This is where Bitcoin closed on Friday. That means the Bitcoin futures also closed there on Friday. If you go to Bitcoin futures on prompt firm account, it closed right here. Right? It closed right there. And so I said, hey, because the price revisited over the weekend, Saturday for Bitcoin, it went up and it came back down. And so when we started off this week, we were basically where we were at the start. I knew that the likelihood is that Bitcoin futures, well, I knew Bitcoin futures would, because it's going to match the underlying price, but that equity futures would also start near where it closed last Friday. If this was very different, let's say this big drop had happened earlier on, then that futures would have opened down. Now look what happened. When we look at MNQ, let's switch to the 15-minute chart so it'll be a little bit easier for you guys
So
to
as a
see.
reminder, as you're switching charts, we were just talking about Bitcoin because you use this as a leading indicator for your MNQ trades. Bitcoin is great to be giving you data to help you to predict what MNQ might do. Is that right?
Yep, and it's MNQ and or NQ and ES. We're just using the MNQ contracts because we use smaller contracts, but it's NASDAQ and the SPY often reflect whatever Bitcoin did that weekend. And you can imagine Bitcoin's moving without any of the effects of the options market because the markets are closed.
Right.
So it can do all kinds of things on the weekend, and then it sort of like squares back up on Monday to be like, let's get in line with how everything else is doing, generally speaking. All right. So this is last Friday for MNQ. So we opened up over here, and you'll notice that when we opened up, like I said, we opened up pretty much right around where we were, right? Around where we were last time, headed towards this daily level. These daily levels are the VWAP levels that were closed from the day before. Right here and right here, those are the levels. So this trade happened as textbook. It happens usually 73% of the time where the price at some point revisits the daily levels. And that's what happened. This is the mistake I made. That I only looked at the daily and I didn't look at the weekly levels. The weekly level was far below. And I should have held this short all the way down to over here. All right. This is a textbook 6 p.m. trade. I'm going to come up with a name for it. I should come up with a clever name for that. Happens at 6 p.m. every day. This potential trade happens.
What happens when Gandalf tells Aragorn to look to the east or whatever on the third day? What is that?
Yes, at Two Towers when Gandalf comes in order to save the Battle of Isengard.
All right. So the Two Towers trade.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. Although now that
the Rohan trade, I don't know.
The Rohan Rim. Well, now that I find out that Tolkien's whole story is part of the whole Rosicrucian conspiracy theory, and that you listen to Kurt Metzger, you know all the stuff about Tolkien and how he was part of the secret societies and all that, and that the whole thing's an allegory for Atlantis.
Maybe we don't talk about that.
Well, you wanted to name it according to that.
I don't want to talk about conspiracy theories that are too far gone.
I want to go back. I want to name it something more that's something non-controversial, which is more like, the three wise men for Jesus going to see Jesus. We see the star. and they're going to go to
I
Jesus'
mean, do
manger.
people? Yeah, okay, I get that. Three wise men, I like it. Okay, go ahead, go, Tom,
So
go.
this drop, this is a perfect trade where you enter here. Perfect trade does not mean you can't lose. It means the odds of you winning is so high that it's like every other trade you're going to take has a lower probability of success. Why wouldn't you take this one?
All right,
That's what
you
a perfect
can't
trade is.
lose. Got it. You can't lose. Probability of success so
That's right.
high. Got it. Sometimes I
Now,
don't listen to
I
you,
want to
but
bring
when
up something. I told you guys we're going to be talking not only about the daily levels and the weekly levels, but we're also going to start talking about the 2-hour levels, 2 hours, and eventually we'll be talking about the 15. We really got to get you guys thinking about VWAP levels everywhere because it's what's moving the price all over the place. So even though we fell down over here to this red level, which is the weekly VWAP, you'll notice that the price continued an excursion to the 2-hour VWAP. This is where people make mistakes. When you have VWAP levels, even of different time frames that are close to where you are right now, they act as magnets. And the OCD price says, hey, while I'm here, let me go pick up a carton of eggs at the supermarket. And it goes ahead and it dips down over here. If you don't know this, what will happen is that here you might enter into a long, right? You might enter into a long here, thinking, okay, this is a perfect trade. It's hitting the weekly. Let me move. But you can get stopped out by the time you get here, and you go, oh, I'm going to get stopped out. Let me go ahead and short because it's below this level. It's confirming this level. I should go ahead and short from over here, which would be exactly the wrong move to do because then you get your face ripped off.
Mhm.
And then the money that you got from over here, you give it back over here, thinking, oh my God, I can't believe it. It went all the way back up over this level. Well, it's not a mystery because we're at a 2-hour level over here. So it's only when this I'm going to create an indicator soon called and add it to the library called VWAP blocks or level blocks, which will be these zones. So you don't like forget about them. It's going to consider multiple different levels and give you these zone areas automatically. But for right now, you want to take a look at the 2-hour level to see what's there, if there's any nearby levels. So this is the perfect entry price for the reverse long. Where did that long end up going to? It went all the way back up. First, it got attracted up. Why? Because with a 2-hour level that was created here, 2 hours in, it was created here. This purple line created here. That's where the price came to. Right? But Tom, why did it do a little more of excursion on the way up? Well, this is a very interesting question. And this is a quirk that we have with the indicators that we're gonna have to talk about, and we're gonna have to find somewhere around this. I have not yet learned how to solve it, so I got to point out this sort of quirk that happens. Okay,
I know what it is.
let's hear it.
Sometimes a level is not mitigated. It could be remitigated or unmitigated.
Correct. There's two issues here. All right. First, these daily levels we're taking a look at here were mitigated, but on the 15-minute. Because this move happened all within 2 hours, it all happened within 2 hours. On the 2-hour chart, it's not mitigated yet.
Okay.
So it completed the trade on the 15, and then it still needed to go back up on the daily. Goes, look, I ain't done. I got to go back on the 2-hour chart. I'm not done yet.
You know what?
It had to come back up, mitigate here, and after it mitigated the lower level, this is the overnight VWAP that it mitigated, and it was coming back down and said, you know what? I'm still not done yet. I got to go get that other level above. And it went back over here to grab that level, which was a perfect entry for the short of today.
I'm pretty sure I've noticed this behavior and I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, I'm sure this level is mitigated, but it's still being attracted to it. Like, what's going on? It can wash you out of a position if you don't pay attention. If you think it's going to go the other way, so it's okay. It's good.
So you might think of it in this way: a daily level can only be mitigated on a daily time frame at the close of that time of that day. So that level can always be attracted to that day.
Right.
Because there's always going to be some candle that says, I ain't done with you yet. All right. Now, there's this other issue as well. And there's no real way around this. It has to do with how VWAP is calculated. You'll notice that if I do this side by side and we look at the 15 minutes that's at the bottom left and the 2-hour that's at the bottom right. If I put my mouse over here, or rather the value here that you're seeing for the daily level that it went to says 24,992. But on the 2-hour, it says 25,029 for the
Mhm.
same daily level that we're talking about.
Yeah, I
Why are
had
they
that
so
problem.
different?
Yes.
Yeah, why are they so different? It's because the volume weighted VWAP is calculated on TradingView on different places. It's not using VWAP would be the same everywhere if all calculations use tick data, which means every tick update, which has the price and then the volume for that tick. But what happens is that on different candles, what you're getting is that they do these proxy VWAP calculations that is using the open, high, low, close values and the volume for that candle. So it's using open, high, low, close or high, low, close, and they do an approximation. Well, as you might imagine, the candles here on this 2-hour candle, let's say, and all these candles here have a much more different average price than the sum of all the individual candles.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
not the same. And so what happens is that you have these discrepancies. Now, it's not usually a big problem when volatility is low, but when volatility is high, then you can have this sort of thing that we have over here where the daily levels are much lower. And I would consider this to be much lower on the 50-minute than it is on the 2-hour. That's why you have to be trading the chart, or rather, you have to be considering the mitigation that's happening from the time frame that you're at. That's why you see me with 4 time frames on my chart.
Right.
I'm trading the 15-minute and the 5-minute, but I'm looking at the 2-hour to see, okay, is it really done yet? So you might come over here and go, hey, Thomas Wright, it came up to this level. Let me go ahead, or let me put it in a different way. You'll notice here that here the price is mitigated. So you might discount these levels as attractors, but you can't. Those levels are still in play. Does it mean the price retraces there? Not always, but they're still in play. They're still magnets for the price because they're not done yet on the 2-hour.
So, okay, and I know we got to wrap this up. We're going to be talking about the trade ahead. We don't want to make this too long, but what about people like me? All right, I want to follow. I want to be a part of the congregation. I don't have the mind to see all that and understand it. I need to act now, right? Bitcoin's doing its thing now. Somebody who's not super experienced or super knowledgeable, how are they supposed to trade this? How can you help in that way?
Trading is not a set it and forget it world. You're not doing that with prop firms. You're not doing that with high leverage. If what you're looking for is set it and forget it thing, or I can just automate it and never have to think about it again, don't have to learn about the nuances, this is not the
Okay,
place for
I
you.
mean that's fine, but how that makes sense to me. But let's say I joined the Telegram group for Sacred Profit. Do I get any help when it comes to this type of stuff? Like how am I supposed to know all this stuff? I can't memorize everything you say in these videos.
Well, what everyone should be doing is that when they're executing any trades, if they're using the indicators, you go back and you review your trades for that day. That's what I do every day. That's what we do here. I review my trades, and when it didn't happen in the way that I expected, like, okay, why didn't it? Is there something that I missed?
Mhm.
And then you go and you review it. There's no real way around that. Even if you weren't watching this right now, I would expect any trader outside to be doing that because otherwise you're just going by luck. I'm just
Right.
putting these indicators on my chart and I'm hoping for the best.
Is
That's just not
there
realistic.
Well, I mean, I found that if I just use the levels indicator versus also trend, also wave, etc., I could get pretty far with just the levels indicator. Is there like um, a way to get started with these things by just start with the levels indicator, start with the daily levels, and do your best with that, or do you actually have to know all the different parts of the buffalo?
Actually, if you didn't know any of the parts and you just toss the levels indicator on your chart, like you said, you can get pretty far.
Right.
So what I'm talking about here is the difference between 60% success rate and 85% success rate, or a 1.2 profit factor and a 3.4.
I like that. I like that. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. That's actually useful, right? Because how many people are out there are using indicators or whatever, getting 65%? That's pretty good. Anything above
Yeah, I
51,
mean, that's already fantastic. Anything
yeah,
above 52, 53% is great. So I think out of the box, 60% makes a lot of sense. But like a problem that people have all the time is that they'll identify a good trade, but they never maximize it. They didn't add to their positions. Why? Because when they add to their positions, they find half of the time they give back all the profits because they added the wrong time, and it wipes out all the profits. They were up 100%, they add another position in, it retraces 50%, and they get stopped out, and then it continues along their way. And they're like, oh my God, I don't understand. The trend was right, but I got chopped up the whole way there. It's because they can't see the levels where things are going to bounce and where they should actually add. But you put the levels indicators on, and you're like, oh my God, that's what I should add right there, there, and we'll see that in a second. That's exactly where I should be adding in order to make my way down. And all of a sudden, a trade that's a $100 trade can turn into a $2,000 trade because you figure it out where to be doing it and how much risk to actually take.
I'll tell you from my perspective, at least for now, when I'm just trading by myself, um, I don't mind. I get in where it's clear. Levels tells me to get in. I get out where I believe levels is telling me where to get out. If I only get $100 move instead of 2,000, I don't mind. This is I'm winning while I'm learning how to use these tools. So I don't double down and add more contracts in. I don't. I'm not going for the maximum. I just want to be able to practice using the indicators, and 50, $100, $200, I'm happy with just that. What do you think about that in terms of just starting out?
I think if you're starting out, that's the only way to go about it. It doesn't make sense to take massive risk because if you did the massive risk, two things can happen. The bad thing is that you fail. The good thing is that you succeed with bad reasons. And then all of a
Well, you
sudden,
you
you
describe
make
that
a
as
huge
even
bet with
worse.
$1 million and lose it all. Sorry?
Yeah, so it's not a good thing. It's a worse thing, bad and worse.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. It's bad and then worse. Just heard this happened to somebody recently that I know of. They were up $500,000 and lost it all
Oh,
because you get so high on your own supply. You're like, oh, I'm nailing and nailing and nailing it, and you never think in terms of I can lose it all because you never did lose it all.
right.
So to you, it's not one of the things that can happen. Anyways, just to finish off what happened today, there were two other trade setups. Sorry, one other trade setup I wanted to talk about. So we talked about over here. We already talked about the 6 p.m. trade, the three wise men, right? Follow the star, and then we understand here why the price went down here to the 2 hour level to touch it. We also understand why the price came up over here. It was being dragged by the 2 hour, and there was these daily levels that it still needed to touch. But we know that this touch over here that looks like it cleared the full one didn't actually clear the full one on the 2 hour chart. That 2 hour chart was cleared over here, which would have been the perfect entry. To me, perfect entry is when you take the furthest level, unmitigated level from where you are on any time frame, the furthest one, the furthest value you have, and you set a limit order there or a stop market order there, and then you take the trade, the reversal trade. When that happens, oh my God, you can get these massive runs like we just saw here right now. So over here, that's the perfect entry. It would have happened up here, or you would have done it over here after the candle closed on the 15-minute, and then you take this entry down, and this was a beautiful short. We're headed for, the short is headed for this 2 hour level down here, as well as on the weekly. I believe ultimately we are aiming for, I'm on the wrong one. We're aiming for on the NASDAQ this 24,009, call it 990 level down here.
Hmm.
Yes, I do believe we're going to fall another 3% down to that level. I think we're going to be falling 20% soon. So I think we're headed towards that level. Why? Because it's the nearest weekly level. The only other levels we have above that are daily levels. It's a strong level that I believe needs to be cleared. All right. The last trade that I wanted to mention off for today is what I call now the Mustang trade.
Let's make it clear. When you're talking about the last trade, you're talking about this is for the trade today at starting at 6 p.m.
No, the last trade that set up today. Let's say you didn't get the 6 p.m. or there was this 6 p.m. trade. There was this trade over here from the 2 hour level, the unmitigated 2 hour level, and then there's a third trade setup also that you can get some of the short in, and that is this trade over here. This cross between the green and the red.
And you call
When the
this
overnight session and the session VWAP and the overnight VWAP, when the session VWAP and the overnight VWAP cross, I call that the Mustang trade because I learned this from the Mustang trader. And so why we also have it within this indicator. It's a powerful signal that very often means we're about to blast hard in that direction, in whatever direction of the cross. So over here, the ideal is that you would anticipate this cross happening because you can see that they're narrowing in. And where here it wasn't exactly perfect, you see that the price went up all the way over here to this 2-hour level. It didn't exactly hit it, but near. But I would actually set my limit order at, or my stop order at the VWAP level, wherever I think it's going to cross. Because why? Because here we had a big red candle came down. And then this candle opened up over here. If you enter the trade at the open of that candle going, it's going to cross right now, what will happen is that you'll likely get stopped out. And then you have to enter again or you get whipsawed and all that. If instead you just set your price to be, your stop price to be at where VWAP is, very likely the price is going to cross over there and then come down. And if it doesn't, let's say it just gives up the ghost, well then you'll just enter at the close of this candle. You're like, Tom, but what if it's this big red candle that falls? Okay, well then you missed the trade. You didn't get the trade. We're looking for a perfect trade here. We're looking for ideal entries. You don't want to be getting in and out, or hope. If you don't get the perfect entry, you don't get the perfect entry. Fine. And this trade happened, and again was the end of this move. Now we won't go over all the rest of the stuff. The reason why we stayed sideways is because if we take a look at spot gamma just to see how the gamma was for that day, there was an implied low in the option space here around 6,800 on the SPY. We won't go into all the details about that, but suffice it to say, there wasn't enough negative gamma in order to push us down to the downside. All right, there wasn't enough. That's why we bounced around this lower level, and it ended up being support. But I think that's just for today. I think tomorrow we can easily continue this road down. At 3 p.m., usually if you get in a short like this, you don't get all the way, the momentum stops, and we see the momentum stops because you see this sort of move. What you do is at around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, get the hell out of that move. Why? Because you have this sort of thing that happens this day where at the end of the day, people have to cover their shorts. And where did we cover to? We went all the way back up to VWAP, which, by the way, I took this trade all the way back up this way.
Nice.
How do I take that trade? Easy. I just place I was already in a short. I place a stop buy order right above with every candle format. I just place a stop buy order. And then when it went up, I got that move. If it didn't work, and let's say it touched and fell down, I just lost whatever, one stop loss, one R, which I gave up because I was in this big trade. I was perfectly happy with this. In fact, this trade I shorted from over here at this cross over here to over here. I sold out. Then I shorted from over here to over here, sold out, and then shorted from over here to over here. I got one stopped out over here. So this was the 805 trade, 804.75 I told you about when I messaged you, and then I was in this trade for the rest of that move. So
and then you got the rise.
It's a good trading day. What we're going to be expecting for tomorrow is at 6 p.m. in the next 20 minutes. Let's just take a look at what Bitcoin is doing. That's the big cheat. We take a look at Bitcoin, which, by the way, just completely ate it, like even before everyone else did. And for Bitcoin over here, Bitcoin closed at this. We're still around there, so nothing big happened in that small window between 4 and 6 p.m. Nothing big happened here. So I'm expecting the price to pretty much open where we're at right now on the NASDAQ, which means we have an implied move of up to the daily level over here, which will be about 44 points, not a huge amount, that we can watch out for. And then I would think about shorting so I wouldn't really take this long. I would be thinking about shorting from over there down toward, just short for the rest of the day. Keep an eye on the 2-hour chart to see what those levels look like. And don't be greedy, because you can always have a bounce as price goes back and revisits that level. All right.
I want to remind you folks out there, the YouTube University is a thing. You can learn a lot by watching this type of content. If you're new to Sacred Prophet, even if you've been here before, I highly recommend you go and watch previous episodes of Revelation. It's very new. I think there's like 3 or 4. Go and watch them. Imbibe the knowledge. You might not memorize everything, but let it wash over you so you can understand how to use these indicators more effectively. If you want to see Tom trading with these indicators, you can actually watch him on the Traders Post YouTube channel. That's Traders Post YouTube channel. He trades the open with Mike Christensen, co-founder of Traders Post, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday to Friday. So go over there. You can ask questions. You can watch what's going on. If you're trading at the same time, you can get in there, consume all the content you can. And then when you're ready, go over to sacredprophet.com. You can sign up and get all the indicators and everything he offers, including the Telegram group, for free for 14 days. This is enough for you to learn how these things are being used, to use it yourself, and even to become profitable. Then when you're ready, $9.99 for the year, a steal if you really think about it, in order for you to get these indicators to use at your leisure. Now is the time for you to start trading. Now is the time for your opportunity. Don't wait. Sacredprophet.com. Like and subscribe to the channel right now. Do it today. Do it now. And share it with a friend. You did good, Tom.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And it's been fun. Amen, brothers. Amen, sisters.
All right. Bye.